The world moves fast. Too fast for peace, too loud for clarity, too crowded for thought. Everywhere you turn, something pulls at your attention. Notifications, arguments, noise disguised as meaning. You wake up already behind, scrolling, chasing, reacting. The world doesn't slow down for anyone anymore. It rewards noise, not depth. Chaos has become the new normal. And in that chaos, most people lose themselves. They live like open wounds, bleeding emotions over everything, hoping someone will fix the pain they refuse to face. They mistake sensitivity for strength and impulse for authenticity. They call it being real, but really they're just being ruled. Their emotions are in charge. Their peace is on lease. You felt it too. The weight of it, the mental clutter, the constant buzz that never stops. It's not just outside of you, it's inside. The noise you scroll past becomes the noise you think with. Every distraction becomes a seed of doubt. Every outrage becomes a habit. The world trains you to react before you reflect, to speak before you understand, to move before you're ready. And slowly, without noticing, you lose command. You start living on other people's timing, their moods, their triggers, their pace. You stop being the main character and start being the echo. But deep down, something in you resists. There's a voice buried under all the noise. It whispers, "This isn't me." It remembers what stillness felt like. When you could sit in silence without needing to check something. When your focus was a weapon, not a memory. That voice is still there. You've just drowned it under too much input. You see, emotional dominance doesn't begin with power. It begins with presence. Before you can master anything, work, relationships, purpose, you must learn to master your state. Because when you lose control of your emotions, you lose control of your direction. You chase validation, you fight shadows, you drain energy on ghosts, you become reactive, a puppet pulled by invisible strings. But here's the truth. The world only controls the people who can't control themselves. Every time you take the bait, every time you argue out of anger, scroll out of boredom, or quit out of fear, you reinforce weakness. You teach your nervous system that chaos wins. You let the noise dictate your next move, and that's how power slips away. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small reactions you never noticed. Yet within that realization lies your opening. Because if chaos can train you to lose control, discipline can train you to regain it. You can rewire the mind that was taught to scatter. You can build peace like a fortress, not fragile but forged. It begins by choosing to see the war for what it is, not out there, but within. The real battle isn't between you and the world. It's between the noise and your awareness, between your emotions and your control, between the part of you that reacts and the part of you that leads. You don't need to escape the chaos. You need to outgrow it. You don't silence the world. You become so centered it can't reach you. That's the new definition of power. Not loud, not forceful, but calm. A man or woman who can stay composed when everything around them falls apart. That's real strength. Because calm isn't the absence of storms. It's the mastery of them. It's standing in the middle of noise and still hearing your own voice. It's walking through fire without flinching. It's being the still point in a spinning world. So let the world move fast. Let others drown in opinions, in emotion, in noise. You will learn to move slow, to breathe deeper, to think before you react, to watch chaos and remain centered. Because that's the art. The Art of Emotional Dominance. And as this journey begins, you'll uncover what's been hiding behind all that noise. The version of you that cannot be shaken. So ask yourself, what would life look like if nothing could shake you? Chapter 1. The Tyranny of Reaction. Every day you're tested. Sometimes it's obvious. A rude message, a delay, an unexpected problem that throws your plans off track. But most of the time, it's quiet, subtle. It hides in moments so small you barely notice them. A glance, a tone, a notification. The world presses every emotional button it can find, and without even realizing it, you respond. You tighten your jaw, you raise your voice, you scroll to escape, you chase the next hit of distraction to feel something other than frustration. This is the tyranny of reaction, a life ruled by the next emotion that hits you. It's the silent slavery of the modern world. You don't need chains to be controlled. All it takes is a trigger. Think about it. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You lose your calm. A comment online feels disrespectful. You take it personally. A plan doesn't unfold perfectly. You spiral. It's not the world that holds power over you. It's your inability to pause. Most people don't live intentionally. They live reactively. Their emotions decide their day before they do. Anger decides their tone. Anxiety decides their actions. Impulse decides their priorities. They wake up with potential and go to sleep with regret, all because they didn't notice how easily they were being moved. And yet they call it being human. They justify their lack of control as authenticity. But let's be honest. Reacting isn't being human. It's being conditioned. It's living like a puppet pulled by every external string. You see, emotion itself isn't the enemy. Emotion is energy. Raw, powerful, neutral until directed. But most people never learn to direct it. They let it run wild, burning everything it touches. They confuse movement for progress, inventing for strength. They lash out, shut down, or escape, but never command. That's why life feels heavy. Not because of what's happening, but because of how often you let the happening control your state. Every emotional reaction steals a fragment of your power. A single unguarded moment can cost you hours of peace. It's a cycle. Trigger, react, regret, repeat. And the more you repeat it, the deeper it grooves into your identity. Eventually, reactivity feels natural. You become addicted to the rush of it, the temporary satisfaction of saying what you had to say, the illusion of release that never truly frees you. But power doesn't live in reaction. Power lives in response. And there's a difference. Reaction is instinct. Response is choice. Reaction is survival. Response is mastery. If your emotions are constantly deciding for you, then who's really in charge? You can't lead a life you don't control. You can't build discipline on top of instability. You can't create greatness while living at the mercy of triggers. Every person you admire, calm under fire, composed under chaos, didn't get there by luck. They learned to slow down. They train their awareness like a muscle. They recognize that the moment they stop noticing, they start losing, because reactivity thrives in blindness. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't rise above emotions you refuse to see. So pause. Watch yourself. Observe how quickly you give away control. Notice how often a moment of irritation changes your entire mood. The awareness alone is power. The instant you can see your emotion before it moves you, you've already begun to master it. Think of it like driving. If you don't hold the wheel, the car still moves. just not where you want it to go. The road of life doesn't stop for anyone. You're either steering or you're drifting. And most people spend their lives drifting, wondering why they end up in the same emotional ditch again and again. But awareness puts your hands back on the wheel. It gives you choice, and choice is freedom. Here's the deeper truth. Emotion isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to inform you. Every feeling carries a message. Fear says protect. Anger says boundaries. Sadness says release. But without awareness, those messages turn into chaos. Awareness translates emotion into information. Reaction translates emotion into destruction. That's why you must study yourself like a warrior studies the battlefield. Know what triggers you. Know how you respond under stress. Know the patterns that keep repeating. Most people fear self-observation because it forces honesty, but that honesty is the beginning of power. The moment you can watch your anger rise without becoming it, you've stepped into dominance. The moment you can feel anxiety, but still move with purpose, you've stepped into mastery. The moment you can hold peace in chaos, you've become dangerous, not to others, but to the weakness that once ruled you. Emotional awareness is your first weapon, not a shield, not avoidance, but understanding. When you can name the storm, you no longer get lost in it. And that's what separates the few from the many. The majority react to life. The few lead it. The majority live from impulse. The few live from intention. The majority are driven by what they feel in the moment. The few are guided by what they've decided beforehand. That's why awareness isn't just the start of emotional dominance. It is emotional dominance in seed form. Once you see clearly, everything changes. You can't unsee truth. So let this chapter wake you. Let it remind you that every trigger is a test, every emotion a mirror, every reaction a choice. The world will always give you reasons to lose control, but control isn't about what happens. It's about what happens in you when it does. And from this point forward, that's the work. To see before you react, to understand before you act, to command before you speak. Because in the end, you can't command what you don't understand. Chapter 2, The Architecture of Control. Awareness wakes you up, but structure keeps you awake. Once you see how easily you react, the next question becomes, what now? You can't just wish for calm. You must build it. You can't think your way into control. You must design it into your life. This is where emotional mastery becomes physical. This is where discipline becomes architecture. Most people live in chaos because their environment is chaos. They wake up to noise, reach for their phones, flood their minds with distraction, and wonder why they can't focus. They move through days with no rhythm, no rituals, no control points, just reactions stacked on reactions. They think discipline is about willpower, but willpower dies without structure. Structure is what catches you when motivation fades. It's what carries you through the days you don't feel powerful. It's the scaffolding that holds your mind steady when emotions try to shake it loose. You can't control how you feel all the time, but you can control the systems that shape how you feel. Start with your body, because your body is the first architecture of control. Before thought, before intention, your physiology decides your focus. When you slump, you signal defeat. When you breathe shallow, you invite panic. When you move slow, you drag your energy down. But change the posture, and you change the state. Straighten your spine, and your mind follows. Breathe deeper, and emotions lose their grip. You've felt it before, the way a single deep breath can interrupt an entire wave of anger. That's not random. That's architecture. Breath is the doorway between chaos and calm. Next comes rhythm, your routines. Routine is not restriction, it's protection. Every morning ritual, every planned moment, every repeated discipline builds a wall against emotional drift. Chaos thrives in empty space. Structure starves it. Wake up at a set time. Move your body before the world moves you. Guard your mornings like sacred ground, because how you begin is how you continue. When you start the day in control, the world adjusts to your pace. When you start in reaction, you spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. Think of your routine as the blueprint for your mind. Every habit you repeat either reinforces strength or chaos. There is no neutral. Then there's language, the words you use when you talk to yourself. This is the architecture of meaning. Your inner dialogue shapes how your emotions interpret reality. If your language is chaotic, your mind will be too. Every time you say, "I'm stressed," your body obeys. Every time you say, "I'm handling it," your body listens. Language programs the nervous system. That's why masters speak with precision. They don't exaggerate problems, they define them. They don't say, "Everything's falling apart." They say, "This part needs my attention." One phrase creates panic, the other creates control. Emotional dominance isn't about pretending to feel fine. It's about designing a system where you can feel anything and still function. Structure doesn't eliminate emotion, it channels it. Imagine a river. Uncontained, it floods everything. Contained by walls, it generates power. That's what structure does for emotion. It turns chaos into current. Your structure doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to exist. It's better to have a simple system you follow than a complex one you abandon. The discipline of showing up, same time, same place, same effort, builds a quiet strength that emotion cannot shake. Because structure is consistency made visible. Every rep, every morning, every controlled breath is a vote for stability. Over time, those votes become identity. You stop chasing motivation because your life itself keeps you in alignment. There's a secret here that few understand. Calm isn't a feeling, it's a configuration. When everything around you spins, your system anchors you. When the world tests your patience, your posture, your breath, your routine, they hold you steady. That's why those who seem naturally calm aren't lucky. They're structured. They've built habits that absorb chaos before it reaches them. Their calm isn't fake, it's engineered. Every moment you structure your environment, you take power away from impulse. You remove guesswork. You remove chaos. You create a life that supports your emotional goals instead of sabotaging them. Want to control your emotions? Start with what you can control now. Your space, your schedule, your words, your breath. These are not small things. They are the invisible architecture that shapes the visible results. It's easy to say, "I'll stay calm next time." But without structure, that promise collapses the moment pressure hits. Control isn't built in emotion, it's built in repetition. Every morning you keep your routine, you reinforce the belief that you command yourself. Every time you slow your breathing, you teach your body who's in charge. And over time, these systems create a kind of silent confidence. Not loud, not dramatic, but immovable. The person who controls their environment controls their emotions. The person who controls their emotions controls their outcomes. Discipline, then, is not punishment. It's architecture. It's how you build peace with your own hands. The world may be chaos, but inside your systems, there's order. And from that order, strength grows. So don't wait to feel ready. Build until ready becomes irrelevant. Create systems that pull you forward when emotion wants to pull you back. You'll realize something profound. Feelings follow form. When your environment reflects order, your emotions begin to mirror it. That's when control stops being effort and starts being nature. That's when your posture becomes your message, your breath becomes your anchor, and your life becomes your proof. Because in the end, control doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the structure that shapes the mind. And once you've built that foundation, calm isn't something you chase. It's something you are. You can't fake calm. You must become it. Chapter 3, The Power of Pause. Power isn't always loud. It isn't always movement or dominance or noise. Sometimes power is the silence between 2 seconds. The space where reaction could have lived but didn't. That space is the pause. And it's the difference between the person who breaks and the person who leads. The most powerful people in the world, the warriors, the thinkers, the ones who hold command in chaos, all have one thing in common: they pause. They understand the art of waiting, the mastery of the gap between trigger and response. It's the invisible skill that separates the reactive from the strategic, the impulsive from the intentional. In the modern world, that pause has become rare. We've been conditioned to respond instantly, to text back, speak up, post, react, perform. Silence feels like weakness. Waiting feels like losing. But that's because most people don't understand what the pause really is. The pause isn't inaction, it's preparation. It's the mind pulling back the arrow before it releases. It's the warrior's breath before the strike. It's the leader's stillness before the decision. It's the space where emotion burns out and clarity begins. You've felt it before. That moment when someone provokes you and every cell screams to react, to speak, to defend, to prove. But if you can stay still, even for a breath, something shifts. The heat fades just enough for awareness to step in. You begin to see what's really happening. You're no longer a puppet of impulse. You're a sculptor of outcome. That is the power of pause. It's not hesitation, it's command. Fighters train for it. In combat, reacting too early gets you caught. A master waits, not passively, but with intent. They watch, they breathe, they calculate. Their stillness isn't fear, it's precision. Then when they move, it's with accuracy and power. That same principle applies to life. Leaders live by it. When pressure rises and everyone else panics, true leaders pause. They don't let emotion dictate their next move. They hold the silence long enough to separate signal from noise, truth from fear. Their pause creates order for everyone around them. Monks embody it. Their entire practice is built on the mastery of stillness. They teach that every emotion, every thought, passes if you give it space. The pause allows you to witness your own storm without drowning in it. That's the secret. Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space lies your power. In that space lies your freedom. The modern world kills that space. It fills it with constant reaction. Opinions, headlines, alerts. Every second demands a response. Every moment begs for attention. But in chasing speed, we sacrifice control. The faster you respond, the less you reflect. The less you reflect, the more you repeat. So you must reclaim your gap. You must fight for your pause. When anger rises, pause. When anxiety speaks, pause. When someone disrespects you, pause. Don't let emotion choose for you. Let silence decide, because silence always knows what emotion forgets. The pause gives birth to clarity, clarity gives birth to precision, and precision, that's real power. In the pause, you start to notice what's beneath the surface. You see that anger is often pain trying to be seen. That fear is often potential testing your courage. That anxiety is often energy waiting for direction. Without the pause, you act on the surface and miss the truth underneath. You think you're fighting people, but you're really fighting your own reactions. You think you're defending your worth, but you're really avoiding stillness. The pause reveals that. It's not just about control, it's about understanding. People who master the pause move differently. They speak slower, but their words cut deeper. They act later, but with greater impact. They live with gravity, not because they resist emotion, but because they direct it. This is emotional dominance in its purest form, not suppression, but selection. You choose your timing, you choose your energy, you choose your truth. Understand this: emotion moves fast, but wisdom moves slow. When you pause, you let wisdom catch up. The pause doesn't make you weaker, it makes you unshakable. It protects your peace, your energy, and your focus. It gives you time to think before you bleed power. It turns reaction into reflection, reflection into understanding, and understanding into authority. This is how calm people win in a chaotic world. They don't compete in noise, they control the tempo. They dictate rhythm. They make the world adjust to their pace. Try it. In your next moment of frustration, take one full breath before responding. Just one. Feel what happens. That's control reclaiming its throne. It's quiet, but it's absolute. The pause is your weapon. Use it deliberately. Use it when emotions spike, when temptation calls, when impatience burns. Because every reaction you delay makes your awareness sharper. Every silence you hold makes your presence heavier. Soon people will feel it. They'll notice the difference. You'll become the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't rush, doesn't break. You'll start to radiate calm, the kind that commands rooms without words. That's the power of pause. It's not just an act, it's a philosophy. It's learning to trust the silence more than the noise. It's believing that strength doesn't always strike first. It strikes last with clarity. So let the world hurry, let others drown in reaction. You will slow down, you will breathe, you will think, you will see. Because the one who controls the pause controls the outcome. And once you slow the storm, you start to see the truth beneath it. Chapter 4. Mastering the Inner Dialogue. The loudest voice in your life isn't the one around you. It's the one within you. That constant whisper, that commentary, that running stream of thoughts. It talks from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. It praises, it judges, it doubts. And most of the time, you don't even realize you're listening. That voice is powerful, not because it's always right, but because it's always present. It narrates your world. It decides how you interpret failure, how you see yourself, how you react to challenge. But here's the truth most people never learn. You are not that voice. You're the one who hears it. Most people never make that distinction. They live as prisoners to their thoughts. When the mind says, "You're not enough," they obey. When it says, "You'll fail again," they retreat. When it says, "You can't handle this," they believe it. That's self-sabotage in disguise, loyalty to a liar that lives in your own head. Your mind isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. But protection built from fear becomes a cage. It repeats old stories to keep you safe, even when those stories no longer serve you. Every time you buy into those words, you reinforce the version of yourself you're trying to outgrow. That's why awareness alone isn't enough. You must take leadership over your inner dialogue. You must become the commander of your own narrative. Because until you do, the mind will always lead and emotion will always follow. Your emotions don't arise out of nowhere. They come from interpretation. The way you talk to yourself creates how you feel. Words aren't harmless, they're spells. They can either build or break you. And most of the world walks around reciting destruction like a mantra. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I can't do this. Each phrase pulls your energy lower, tightens your chest, dulls your edge. But what if you became conscious of that language? What if you spoke like a leader even inside your own mind? I can adapt. I can handle this. I'm learning simple words, but they change everything. Your nervous system listens to your language. The body responds to command. That's how masters think. They don't silence the negative voice. They lead it. When the mind says, "This is too much," they answer, "We've been here before." When it whispers, "You're not ready," they respond, "Then we'll prepare." When it tries to panic, they breathe, observe, and redirect. That's the observer mind, the part of you that watches without attachment, that recognizes thought as movement, not truth. Imagine sitting behind the wheel of a car called your mind. The thoughts are passengers, loud, opinionated, emotional. They'll shout directions, argue with each other, sometimes even scream. But you're still the driver. Just because a thought speaks doesn't mean it deserves control of the wheel. The observer mind is awareness with authority. It sees the storm without becoming it. It listens without obeying. And in that space, you regain freedom, the power to choose which thoughts deserve energy and which deserve silence. Start noticing what your mind says when you're alone. The tone, the repetition, the assumptions. Most of those lines didn't come from you. They came from somewhere. Parents, teachers, failure, heartbreak. They're echoes of the past pretending to be the present. When you identify them, you can challenge them. Who said that? Is that true now? Does this thought move me forward or keep me small? That questioning breaks the cycle, because the moment you stop accepting every thought as fact, you start becoming the thinker, not the thought. Self-command begins there. It's not about silencing negativity completely. That's impossible. It's about separating truth from noise. It's about hearing "I can't" and choosing "I will" anyway. It's about watching fear arise and saying, "Thank you for the warning, but I'm still moving." Understand this. Every thought you feed grows stronger. Attention is energy. The more you focus on weakness, the more weakness expands. The more you focus on strength, the more strength becomes your baseline. You are training your mind every moment, consciously or unconsciously. The question is, what are you training it to believe? To master the inner dialogue, you must rewrite the script, not once, but daily. When the mind wanders into doubt, bring it back. When it replays old pain, interrupt it. When it speaks fear, replace it with direction. Not empty affirmations, but commands of truth. I'm learning. I'm improving. I'm capable. It will resist. The old voice won't disappear easily. But over time, repetition reprograms. The same way a habit forms in action, a mindset forms in language. Each time you lead your thoughts, you strengthen your identity as the observer. And something powerful begins to happen. Silence. Not absence of thought, but absence of chaos. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop over-explaining, over-defending, over-judging. The mind still speaks, but it no longer shouts. You begin to trust yourself again. The dialogue becomes partnership, not battle. Your mind stops being your enemy and starts being your ally. It learns your leadership. It follows your focus. It mirrors your command. This is true emotional dominance, not the suppression of thought, but the direction of it. You don't destroy the inner voice. You teach it discipline. You teach it to serve your purpose, not sabotage it. And once that happens, life changes. Challenges shrink because your thoughts don't magnify them. Doubt fades because your words stop feeding it. The same world remains, but you experience it through clarity, not chaos. You are no longer dragged by your emotions. You direct them. No longer manipulated by fear. You negotiate with it. No longer paralyzed by overthinking. You use thought as a tool, not a trap. The mind becomes quiet, not because it's empty, but because it's aligned. Every word inside you begins to move in the same direction, forward. That's the art of self-command, leading the voice within until it echoes your strength, not your story. And when that voice begins to follow your lead, something profound happens. Your emotions follow too. Chapter 5. Energy Transmutation. Turning pain into power. Pain. Everyone runs from it. They bury it under distractions, numb it with comfort, pretend it doesn't exist. But pain doesn't disappear, it transforms. The question is whether it transforms you or destroys you. Every emotional storm you've ever faced, heartbreak, failure, fear, rejection, carried something deeper than suffering. It carried energy. Raw, untamed, explosive energy. Most people never learn how to use it. They let it consume them instead of convert them. They drown in the fire that could have forged them. But those who rise, the disciplined, the centered, the masters, they see pain differently. They don't curse the fire, they step into it because they know what it really is. Fuel. This is the alchemy of emotional dominance, turning what once hurt you into what now drives you. Pain is energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Think about that. Every ounce of anger, sadness, fear, disappointment, it's not weakness. It's voltage. It's potential power sitting in your body, waiting for direction. But if you don't direct it, it directs you. That's the difference between reaction and transformation. Reaction burns you. Transformation builds you. The person who masters transmutation becomes unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because everything becomes usable. Nothing is wasted. Every emotion has a purpose. Every scar becomes strength. When anger hits, most people explode outward. They lose control, destroy what's around them, regret it later. But the disciplined individual pulls that same fire inward, channels it into focus, into training, into creation. That's transmutation, turning rage into resilience. When fear rises, most people freeze. They overthink, retreat, avoid. But the master sees fear as energy with no direction. They breathe, focus, and move forward anyway. They let the adrenaline sharpen them instead of shake them. That's transmutation, turning anxiety into alertness. When heartbreak comes, most people collapse. They give up, question their worth, but the awakened one uses that pain to dig deeper, to find purpose, depth, and hunger. That's transmutation, turning loss into legacy. Pain doesn't ask for your permission. It will arrive uninvited again and again, but it's never meaningless. Every test you face gives you a choice to react emotionally or evolve energetically. One keeps you trapped, the other sets you free. It's not about pretending pain doesn't hurt. It's about deciding it won't control the outcome. The fire may burn, but you decide what it burns away. Your weakness or your will. Look at the strongest people you admire. None of them avoided suffering. They were broken, betrayed, beaten down, but they refused to waste it. They turned their stories into strength, their grief into greatness. They didn't suppress emotion, they shaped it. That's the secret. Discipline isn't suppression, it's alchemy. It's learning to work with emotion instead of against it. The disciplined person doesn't deny feeling, they harness it. They treat emotion like a blacksmith treats metal, heated, shaped, refined. Anger becomes drive, fear becomes focus, sadness becomes depth, pain becomes power. This isn't poetic, it's practical. Energy moves through you whether you like it or not. You can either let it leak in reaction or channel it in intention. The next time you feel a surge of emotion, don't run from it. Observe it. Breathe into it. Ask, what can I build with this? Pain is the signal that energy has arrived. Use it. Move with it. Lift with it. Write with it. Train with it. Create with it. That's how warriors are made. Every time you transmute emotion into discipline, you're rewiring your nervous system for mastery. You're teaching your body that energy, no matter how uncomfortable, can serve purpose. Over time, the storm stops scaring you. You stop asking, well, why me? And start declaring, try me. Because you realize power isn't found in peace alone. It's born in fire. And if you can hold your composure inside that fire, you evolve beyond emotion. You become the one who can stay still while the world burns. This isn't about coldness, it's about control. You don't shut down emotion, you shape it into something greater. You take everything the world gives you, pressure, pain, rejection, and you forge it into momentum. It's the same force, redirected, the same fire, repurposed. When life tests you, it's not trying to punish you. It's trying to reveal what you can build under pressure. Diamonds are formed the same way. Intense heat, relentless compression, unbreakable result. That's your emotional process. Every disappointment, every failure, every fear, pressure, every disciplined action you take under that pressure, refinement. Every time you rise anyway, crystallization. You become stronger, harder, clearer, not despite your pain, but because of it. And when others look at you, they'll wonder how you stay composed, how you keep moving, how you stay calm through storms that would break most people. They'll never realize that your calm was built in the same fires they avoid. That's why emotional dominance isn't about being untouched by life. It's about being unbroken by it. When you start using emotion instead of being used by it, you begin to feel something deeper than happiness. Power. A grounded, unwavering power that doesn't need validation or comfort to move forward. Because everything you felt, everything you faced, everything you've survived, it's all energy. And now you're the alchemist. You control the flow. The world will still throw flames your way. But where others burn, you'll build. Where others quit, you'll rise. Where others crumble, you'll create. That's emotional transmutation, the ultimate rebellion against weakness, the proof that nothing you've lived was wasted. Because when you learn to convert emotion into drive, when you learn to turn every pain into purpose, something happens inside you. You stop fearing emotion. You start commanding it. And once you learn to convert emotion into drive, you begin to rise. Chapter 6. The Discipline of Calm. Calm isn't luck. It isn't a personality trait. It's a discipline, trained, earned, and refined through repetition. The calm you envy in others wasn't given to them. It was built. It's the product of battles fought in silence, temptations resisted, emotions mastered one breath at a time. You see, chaos will always find you. Life doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply arrives. In traffic, in conflict, in pressure. Most people meet it with panic. They tighten their shoulders, speed their words, and call that dealing with it. But panic doesn't solve problems. It multiplies them. Calm, however, dissolves them. Calm slows time. Calm reveals truth. To master calm, you must treat it like strength training. Every situation is a representative. Every challenge is a set. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you build another layer of control. You can't meditate once and call yourself grounded. You must practice calm when your mind wants noise, when your body wants tension, when your ego wants to explode. That's discipline. Calm begins in the body. When pressure hits, the body reacts first. Heart rate rises, breath shortens, muscles tighten. Most people let that response take over, but masters intervene. They breathe. Deep, deliberate, rhythmic. Because the breath is the first line of command between emotion and control. Slow your breath and your nervous system obeys. The mind follows the body's pace. Next comes presence. Calm people don't rush through moments. They inhabit them. They understand that control isn't found in doing more, but in being here. When you are fully present, distractions lose their pull. You stop being dragged by what might happen and start mastering what is happening. Try it the next time tension builds. Stop, breathe, and look around. Notice the small details, the sound, the temperature, the air. Anchor yourself in now, because chaos can't touch you when you're truly present. Chaos only thrives in imagination, in what could go wrong, what might happen, what others might think. Calm kills that illusion. Then there's neutrality, the secret weapon of composure. Most people assume calm means detachment or apathy. It doesn't. It means balance. It means the ability to see things without being owned by them. Neutrality isn't cold. It's clear. You don't rush to label things good or bad. You see them for what they are. Information, feedback, opportunity. This neutrality is what turns pressure into power. When everyone else is emotional, the calm person sees angles, not threats. They move slower, but they move smarter. They act from logic, not panic. And that makes them dangerous, not in aggression, but in precision. You've seen it before. A fighter in the ring, eyes steady, breathing measured, even as blows fly. A leader in crisis, voice calm while everyone else yells. A monk in meditation, still as mountains while storms rage outside. These people aren't superhuman. They're trained. They've built tolerance for chaos the way others build tolerance for pain. Calm is emotional endurance, the ability to stay centered while everything around you pulls at your attention. It's not built in peace, it's forged in storms. You must face discomfort to train it. You must sit in silence without escaping, argue without shouting, Fail without breaking. Each test stretches your composure wider until it covers your entire life. The more chaos you can withstand without losing your center, the more power you hold. Because calm is magnetic. It commands respect. It disarms aggression. It influences without effort. People trust the one who stays grounded when others lose control. Calm becomes authority. And yet calm isn't about control over others. It's control over self. It's what separates maturity from impulsiveness, mastery from emotion. The calm person isn't less passionate, they're more precise. They don't waste energy on reaction. They channel it into direction. They know that screaming never solves what silence can reveal. This kind of calm isn't soft, it's steel. It's patience sharpened by awareness. It's strength under pressure, grace under fire. It's the stillness of a mountain that doesn't flinch when wind howls. To live this way, you must start with small acts. Don't wait for big crises to test your calm. Practice it in daily life. When someone interrupts you, breathe before responding. When plans change, adjust without complaint. When you feel rush or frustration, slow down deliberately. Each small act is training, micro moments of mastery that accumulate into power. Understand this truth. The world will always tempt you to speed up. The faster you move, the less you feel. The less you feel, the easier you are to control. Calm breaks that cycle. Calm is rebellion in a world addicted to reaction. It's how you reclaim ownership of your state. And here's the paradox. Calm isn't passive. It's the highest form of control. The fighter who waits for the perfect strike wins. The negotiator who pauses before replying wins. The thinker who reflects before reacting wins. Calm doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing. At the right time, with full awareness. To stay calm, you must stop identifying with your storms. Don't say, I am angry. Say, I feel anger. The first makes it identity. The second makes it temporary. Calm comes from separation, from seeing emotion without merging with it. When you realize feelings are weather, not truth, you stop chasing every cloud. And over time, you'll notice something shift. The things that once triggered you lose their grip. The people who once drained you can't reach you. The noise that once controlled you becomes background. Because calm is cumulative. Every moment you practice it adds another layer of strength to your mind. Soon you'll become the one others look to when chaos hits. The one who doesn't flinch. The one whose presence brings order. The one whose silence says more than panic ever could. That's not luck. That's the discipline of calm. So when the next storm comes, and it will, don't chase control outside yourself. Find it within, through breath, through awareness, through stillness. Because calm isn't weakness, it's sovereignty. It's mastery over the only thing you can ever truly command, yourself. And once you hold calm under pressure, you become untouchable. Chapter 7. The Emotional Warrior. There comes a point in your journey when calm is no longer enough. You must go beyond control into strength. Not the kind that shouts or flexes, but the kind that endures. This is where you become a warrior, not against the world, but against your own weakness. The emotional warrior is forged, not found, built through discomfort, tempered through pressure, defined not by aggression, but by resilience. The unshakable ability to stand tall when everything inside you wants to fall. Softness has been sold as safety. Comfort has been disguised as happiness. But comfort kills the warrior spirit. It dulls your edges, numbs your instincts, makes you forget the fight within you. Growth never comes from ease. It comes from exposure. The warrior doesn't seek pain, but they don't run from it either. They know pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Think of a blade. Steel alone is useless. It bends, it breaks. But under fire, it's shaped. Under friction, it's sharpened. Under patience, it's perfected. That's you, every setback, every failure, every test. The heat that forges your edge. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, focus over impulse, composure over chaos, that's you being refined. Most people crumble when life turns harsh. They interpret resistance as unfairness, struggle as punishment, but the warrior sees struggle as invitation. Resistance isn't there to break you. It's there to build your capacity. The more pressure you can face without folding, the more power you possess. This isn't theory, it's biology. Every moment of stress you endure without reaction rewires your nervous system. Every test survived becomes proof that you can handle more. You're not fragile, you're adaptable. You were built for challenge, but only if you stop avoiding it. The emotional warrior doesn't wait for ideal conditions. They train in the storm. When anger rises, they don't let it command them. They study it. When fear whispers, they don't obey. They walk through it. When exhaustion tempts surrender, they remember comfort is temporary, but mastery is forever. This is not about becoming hard or numb. True warriors aren't cold. They're controlled. Their strength isn't brutality, it's discipline. Their power isn't dominance over others. It's sovereignty over self. Resilience isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about refusing to let struggle define your direction. You can cry, you can hurt, you can bend, but you don't break. You don't lose yourself in emotion. You use emotion to build endurance. That's what separates warriors from wanderers. The emotional warrior understands that adversity isn't the enemy. Apathy is. Apathy is what creeps in when you stop fighting, when you settle, when you let life decide for you. Warriors stay awake. They stay aware. They don't need everything to go right. They just need to keep moving forward, no matter what. Think of the moments that tested you the most: the betrayal, the loss, the humiliation. You thought these moments weakened you, but look closer. They stripped away illusion. They exposed truth. They taught you what survives when everything else falls apart. That's not weakness. That's raw, unfiltered strength. Every warrior is built in moments others avoid. While most retreat, the warrior steps forward. While most collapse under emotion, the warrior breathes through it. While most wait for motivation, the warrior acts through exhaustion. The warrior's calm is not born in peace, it's born in battle. Their patience is not natural, it's trained through repetition. Their strength isn't in avoiding emotion, it's in carrying it without losing direction. That's the essence of emotional endurance, the ability to stay centered in adversity, unshaken in conflict, present in chaos. It's not about being fearless, it's about acting with courage despite fear. Fear visits everyone. The difference is what you do next. In every challenge, there's a voice that says, "You can't." The warrior answers, "Watch me." That's the fight, not with others, with yourself. Every day you're fighting doubt, laziness, distraction, weakness. And every day you win, even slightly, you grow sharper. Because strength isn't a burst, it's a pattern. It's built in micro moments. When you show up anyway, when you hold your peace, when you take one more step. The emotional warrior knows the war is never external. It's fought in the silence of the self. Warriors aren't flawless. They bleed. They stumble. But they never stay down. They treat every failure as feedback. Every scar as a story of survival. Their strength doesn't come from what they conquer, but from what they overcome. And here's the paradox. The deeper the warrior's strength, the softer their heart becomes. Because true power doesn't need to prove itself. When you know your strength, you no longer need to display it. The loud fight disappears, replaced by quiet confidence. The warrior smiles not because life is easy, but because they trust themselves to handle whatever comes. That's what makes emotional resilience sacred. It's not about perfection, it's about trust. Trust in your ability to recover, to rebuild, to rise again. When you trust yourself, no challenge feels final. No emotion feels fatal. You meet life head on, steady and unafraid. So when the world tests you again, and it will, remember who you are becoming. You're not breaking, you're building. You're not collapsing, you're conditioning. The storm doesn't end you, it strengthens your stance. This is your initiation, the transition from controlled calm to active command. You're not just surviving emotion anymore. You're using it as armor, as weapon, as proof. You're not running from resistance. You're welcoming it as the training ground of strength. You are the emotional warrior, forged by pain, powered by patience, defined by discipline. Every trial that once threatened you now refines you. Every emotion that once ruled you now serves you. Because strength isn't how loud you fight, it's how long you last. And as your inner power grows, your identity begins to shift. Chapter 8. Becoming the Center, the Identity of Stillness. There comes a moment in your evolution when control is no longer effort, it's essence. You stop trying to be calm. You simply are. You stop acting disciplined. You simply live that way. The need to prove your strength fades because strength itself becomes your nature. This is the final transformation, from performing control to embodying it, from discipline as a habit to dominance as identity. True dominance is quiet, not because it hides, but because it no longer needs noise. You've burned through the phases of chaos, control, and composure. You've fought your inner battles, tamed your reactions, structured your life, trained your calm, and now what remains is stillness, not the absence of motion, but the presence of power. Stillness is misunderstood. People think it's passivity, retreat, disconnection. But stillness isn't empty. It's full. It's the most concentrated form of energy there is. Imagine a black hole, silent, motionless, yet commanding the gravity of everything around it. That's what you become. You no longer chase attention. Attention bends toward you. You no longer grasp for control. The world adjusts to your energy. In the beginning, you learn to manage emotion. Then you learn to master it. Now you embody it, balanced, anchored, unmoved. Emotion still arises, but it doesn't define you. It passes through you like wind through mountains, felt, acknowledged, released. You've become the unmoving point in a spinning world. This identity doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself. It simply is. And that isness, that quiet certainty, becomes your greatest power. People feel it before they understand it. They sense your steadiness, your gravity, your calm authority. You don't need to dominate through words. Your presence speaks louder than any argument ever could. The disciplined version of you worked hard to stay centered. The evolved version of you is the center. That's the difference. You used to wrestle with your emotions. Now they orbit around your awareness. You used to seek control. Now control lives in your breath, your tone, your rhythm. You don't rise and fall with circumstance anymore. Success doesn't inflate you. Failure doesn't define you. Praise doesn't excite you. Criticism doesn't shake you. You've detached from the illusion of extremes. You exist in the middle, the space where peace and power coexist. This isn't detachment from life. It's engagement without distortion. You experience everything: joy, pain, tension, beauty, but nothing owns you. You don't numb emotion, you witness it. You don't suppress the mind, you direct it. The storms still come, but you've become the sky, vast enough to hold it all. Becoming the center means you've transcended performance. You no longer act disciplined for recognition. You don't meditate for image. You don't strive to look calm. You live calm. It's not something you turn on. It's something you carry. It's strange at first, this stillness, because the world around you will still be loud. People will still rush, panic, complain. They'll question why you don't react like they do. They'll mistake your peace for indifference. But inside you'll know. You'll know that nothing outside you has the authority to dictate what happens within you. And that's the essence of becoming the center. Internal authority. You no longer need the world to calm down for you to find peace. You bring peace into the world. You are the stability others search for. You become a mirror. The clearer you are, the more others see themselves. Stillness, when embodied, becomes leadership. Not the leadership of force, but of frequency. People will be drawn to your steadiness. They'll feel safe near you, even if they can't explain why. Because energy recognizes energy. Chaos feels peace and wants to match it. But don't mistake this identity for perfection. Stillness isn't flawless. It's aware. You still feel emotion, but you respond with maturity. You still face challenge, but you move through it with grace. You still have desires, but they no longer rule you. You own them. This is what emotional mastery truly means. Not control in the moment, but peace as identity. You've built systems, discipline, and awareness. Now all those layers merge into being. You are no longer chasing mastery, you are living it. And the beauty of this phase is its simplicity. You stop searching for balance because you've become it. You stop fighting for focus because distraction no longer attracts you. You stop proving your worth because you finally understand it was never in question. This is freedom, not the kind that escapes the world, but the kind that walks through it untouched. You realize that peace isn't something you earn. It's something you protect. It was always inside you. You just had to remove everything that wasn't it. Now when pressure comes, you don't resist. You breathe. You stay centered. You move deliberately, slowly, precisely. You know that the faster the world spins, the stiller you must become. You've learned that the true warrior doesn't fight chaos. They outlast it. The world will test this new identity. It will throw distractions, conflict, temptation. It will whisper, react. It will try to pull you back into the noise. But now you smile because you've seen through the illusion. You've realized that everything external is temporary, but what's within you is eternal. You've become immovable, not because you're rigid, but because you're rooted. Deep roots don't fear wind. This is the highest form of confidence, not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet certainty of knowing who you are and what you stand for. You've evolved from controlling moments to commanding presence. You don't chase control anymore. You are control. And in this stillness, life becomes clear. You no longer react. You respond. You no longer seek. You create. You no longer doubt. You decide. You've become the center, the calm eye in the storm, the still point of focus in a spinning world, the gravity that pulls chaos into order. And when you become the center, the world starts moving around you, not through you. Closing chapter, the unshakable presence. You began in chaos, pulled by noise, ruled by reaction, uncertain of your own power. You lived at the mercy of emotion, searching for calm in a world that never stopped spinning. But through the storm, through the pain, through every silent battle, you found what few ever do, command. Not over others, over yourself. Now you stand different, still, strong, sovereign. The world hasn't slowed down, but you have risen above its pace. The noise hasn't stopped, but it no longer reaches you. You've learned to move through life as the observer, not the object, leading your energy instead of losing it. The reactive self you once were has dissolved. The one who panicked, overthought, and chased control is gone. In its place stands something rarer, the unshakable presence, the one who no longer bends to pressure, who no longer fights the storm because they are the calm within it. Look back. Every moment that broke you was teaching balance. Every emotion that overwhelmed you was building endurance. Every test was training, sharpening your awareness, sculpting your will. What you once saw as chaos was the forge of mastery. You've learned that real power doesn't roar, it doesn't rush, it doesn't demand to be seen, it simply is. Power now lives in your breath, your stillness, your deliberate movement. You command not through volume, but through vibration. When you enter a room, people feel your peace before you speak. You are no longer swayed by praise or shaken by judgment. You've outgrown both. The opinions that once triggered you now pass through like wind through open hands. You've stopped performing strength and started being it. That's evolution. From ego to essence, from noise to knowing. This is emotional mastery fulfilled, not the suppression of feeling, but the symphony of control. You've learned to dance with emotion without letting it lead. You've become the equilibrium between motion and meaning, power and peace. Stillness has become your home. It doesn't mean you hide from the world. It means you carry peace into it. You can walk through fire and remain composed, not because it doesn't burn, but because you've built your foundation beneath the flames. Now you move differently. You speak slower, but with weight. You act less, but with precision. You no longer seek to win arguments. You win moments. You no longer try to prove your value. You radiate it. The old you reacted. The new you responds. The old you resisted. The new you allows. The old you chased peace. The new you is peace. And this peace, this presence wearing, isn't fragile. It's forged. It's the result of every breath you controlled when you wanted to explode. Every calm decision made in chaos. Every quiet victory no one saw. You've mastered the only battle that ever mattered. The one within. The war between impulse and intention, reaction and reason, chaos and command. And by winning it, you've gained the ultimate freedom, the ability to stay unshaken no matter what life delivers. You are not emotionless. You are emotionally sovereign. You feel deeply, but you choose consciously. You've learned that the strongest presence isn't the one that dominates others. It's the one that dominates itself. Now life moves and you move with it, deliberate, calm, and clear. You've stopped chasing balance because you've become it. You've stopped searching for control because you are it. You no longer fear the storm because you've realized you are both the storm and the stillness. So as this journey closes, remember what it gave you. Not perfection, but power. Not the end of struggle, but the mastery of response. You are no longer defined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to stand through it. You are not seeking calm, you create it. You are not chasing strength, you embody it. You are not waiting for peace, you bring it wherever you go. This is who you've become, the unshakable presence. And from this day forward, when life tests you, when noise surrounds you, when emotion rises, breathe. Remember what you've built. Remember what you've become. Because nothing outside you holds power. Every moment is a test. Every breath, a reminder. You are the storm and the stillness.